welcome here into another edition of State of the Sun Devils, a very special edition of State of the Sun Devils as we have the new head coach of ASU football, Kenny Dillingham, joins us on this episode. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me.
So, Coach, obviously, first week on the job, what's been just like the moment where someone reached out to you or you got to meet someone where it was like a wow moment? I can't believe I'm meeting this person right now.
Yeah, I'm not one person that gets wowed by people. I would say the wow moment was how much work we got to do. You know what I mean? We're sitting there like, holy cow, let's get this work. But yeah, that's just, it's a blessing. It's an honor. I'm so fired up. We got a phenomenal staff and we're working every day.
Sure. Yeah.
Coach, you're getting to work here and everything. You've talked a lot about recruiting Arizona. Just for me, I'm also thinking about the outside of Arizona. Texas, Florida, California. Are you planning on attacking those areas as well? And how do you plan to do that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we hired a staff that has connections in all three of those areas you mentioned for a purpose. We're gonna reach not just Arizona, but we're gonna reach those places, those states you just mentioned. I just think it's important to keep the local kids home. I think it's important to attack the local kids, but we're going to need the local kids, and then we're going to need to go dive into some other areas as well in order to build the best roster we can build.
Coach, I'm the only one between the three of us here that's from here, so I got to address some things I'm not over yet. So I went to Notre Dame Prep. I played against you when you were a coach at Shap twice. You took us to work on ESPN. You beat us like 57-0. And then
I remember that. Sorry.
No, I remember it well as well. And then the following year at your place, you guys somehow overcame a 17-point deficit in the last 3 minutes of the game to beat us in regulation. Obviously, Coach Regal was on that squad as well. That would have been 2011, 2012. And then I joined ASU. I interned for Jeremy Hawks when you were an offensive assistant. So we were on the same team there, had a couple pretty good years there. I say all that because I was raised here. I understand what it means to be an ASU kid that was raised in the Valley. So my question to you is, obviously this whole rebuilding is going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. But for you in the early years, maybe the first 2-3 years, what is success going to look like tangibly on the field?
I mean, discipline. If there's when you say tangibly, I would just say discipline and effort. When you watch us play, do we play with a passion about ourselves, and are we disciplined? I think that would be how I would measure success on the field. But to me, success is, are we playing as hard as we can physically play every play? Like, if that's what we're doing, then we're giving effort at a successful level. And I think that would be the most tangible thing to monitor.
A little follow-up to that. How do you coach that? Because we've seen from a lot of college teams, not just Arizona State, where it's just a lot of personal fouls, after play pushing and shoving. How do you coach that out of kids, or how do you try and tell them to keep their cool on the field?
I think it's something it's not just a flip or a switch you can flip on game day. I think it's who you are as a person. I think we have to recruit good people. We have to coach good people. We have to teach people how to react, how to handle themselves. One of the pillars to our program is response. So when something good happens, how do you respond? Do you spike the football and dance and get a 15-yard flag? Or do you hand the ball to the official, sprint to the sideline to where you can't get a flag, and I'll dance with you, right? As long as you don't get a flag. When something bad happens and somebody punches you in the face, do you flop and get a 15-yard flag, play it off a little bit, right? Or do you respond and punch him when the second person gets caught? So I think we got to coach a kid's response. We got to teach that. It's got to be something we discuss and we show film of, and our kids fully believe in the power of how to respond.
Coach, are you more of a run-first guy or more of a pass-first guy?
Depends on the game. I mean, there were games this year where we ran for 350 yards, 380 yards, and there were games we threw for 430, 440. So it's really, this system is built for playmakers. It's built to take what the defense gives you. It's built to get athletes in space. And if you're a guy who's a playmaker, if you're a guy who can win a one-on-one, if you're a guy who likes the ball in space, this is the place for you, right? So for me, it's purely what is the defense giving us, and how are we going to attack it with numbers, leverage, and grass.
To go along with that, what do you expect from a quarterback in your offense?
I expect a guy to be smart. I expect a guy to get us into good plays. I expect a guy to not be greedy, and I expect a guy to be accurate and be able to extend plays to make plays off schedule. I think if you can do those 5 things, you can be very successful in college football.
Coach, obviously you have such energy coming off of you. It's probably going through the mics all day as you've been with us on our air. That was something Ray Anderson spoke about right after the firing of Herm Edwards. He wanted a young coach who could, deal with the NIL and everything. What advantages does you being only 32 years old give Arizona State football?
I was 32. After 2 weeks on the job, I'm 47. But I think the advantages are just understand how kids think. And I think the number one thing that I think there's this almost, fallacy that kids have changed. I firmly disagree. I think people treat kids differently. Yes. Are there different technologies? There's social media. Do kids care more about social media, right? Yes. There's all these things that have changed around kids, but kids are still kids. And kids haven't changed. People have just made more excuses for them. That's it. And our job is to be cut and dry. Our job is to discipline these guys and teach them that you can have a lot of fun doing stuff right, doing things the right way, and working hard and getting better.
Coach, you all are only 32 years old, but you've been coaching since you were 17 years old. So, I mean, it's not like you don't bring experience. So just how much do you think that being a young coach but also having so much experience is going to help you in this role? Yeah,
I definitely think I'm blessed from the standpoint of, I've been at all these, quote unquote elite places. I've coached at the schools that have legacies, Heisman winners, national championships, right? I've coached the school that's the king of the NIL. I have all these experiences through my short time, or my long time actually coaching, but I still have the youth that I understand kind of, I know what, like Snapchat is. I have a Twitter. I know that Facebook is only used, right, to reconnect with people over the age of 45. So, I mean, I'm very aware. I don't know all the trends. I have zero swag, but I do know a little bit of, how kids operate.
You have some swag.
Very little. Very little. Don't. My wife dresses me.
You were talking to Burns and Gambo a little bit ago about Sean Iguano and retaining him on your staff. I wanted to get a little bit of insight as to what you've seen from Sean Iguano over the past few years, not only as a person, but schematically teaching the running backs. The number of running backs that he's gotten to the NFL is amazing with just his first few years as a collegiate coach after being in the high school ranks.
Yeah, I mean, you watch his guys, they run hard. If you watch their guys, when I watch a running back, it's how do they have to stop their feet on every run. And when you watch those guys run, they bomb runs. When there's a crease, they take it. It's not a guy who has to chop his feet and then accelerate. They bomb it. They stay on their tracks and they play hard. And why those guys have success is because they believe in Coach Iguano, because he cares about them. And that matters. When your coach cares about you, when you know your coach has your back, you're going to go to war for him because he's going to go to bat and war for you. And I think that's one of his greatest strengths as a coach is he cares. He cares, he cares, he cares.
Well, Coach?
I got one last one, if you don't mind, Coach. You said earlier today at the luncheon that you're going to have Bo Baldwin call the plays. I just wondering what kind of went into that, and was there ever part of you that wanted to still be a play caller?
Oh, he's a phenomenal coach. He's one of the smartest people I've ever talked ball with, and I firmly believe creating a game plan, creating a system is the key to offense. When you look at all the successful offenses, look at Mike Norvell's success this last year at Florida State, my success this last year. Systems are what creates success. Teaching progressions of how you teach is what creates success, not necessarily the person calling the plays on game day. This is a guy who's a phenomenal football coach. He's won a national championship as a head coach. He can lead men. Me and him have a very similar offensive philosophy. We're going to install the offense that I believe in. We're going to add a few of his things, a few of our wideouts coaches' things, a few of Coach Iguano's things. We're going to mold this together to build the best thing we can possibly build.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate the time. Obviously, it's been probably a whirlwind couple of weeks for you, and we appreciate you stopping by and giving us a few minutes.
Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all having me.
All right.
Go Devils.